All right, West Virginia fans. West Virginia battled tonight. I know it wasn't the win that everyone was hoping for, but at the end of the day, it was a much better effort and a much better performance on the field for the West Virginia Mountaineers. I think it's something that we can build off of. So in tonight's video, we're going to break down tonight's game versus TCU. I'll give you my reaction of who I thought played well and where the Mountaineers go from here. Before we do that, if you're a West Virginia fan, please remember to like and subscribe to JerseyEER. With that being said, let's get into today's game. So my initial thoughts are it was a hard edge effort. I know Rich Rodriguez isn't going to be into moral victories, and I know a lot of us want wins, but I think you have to take this in baby steps. They looked a lot better than they did versus UCF, and they looked probably the best they have in Big 12 play so far. So for a team that is very banged up right now and doesn't have much to play for, you can't say that this team did not play hard tonight. They really came out here and gave it their best effort, and I think the fans will appreciate that who came out and watched them perform tonight. There was a few missed opportunities, especially at the end of that game. West Virginia had a chance to hop on a fumble and give their offense, who was rolling at the time, a chance at the end of the game, but that ultimately didn't happen. There was a few times to get off the field on third and fourth down that didn't happen. So the missed opportunities are the reason why we lost this game, quite frankly. So for a team that needs things to happen for them to win, you need those opportunities, right? You need to hop on the fumbles. You need to cause some turnovers. So the missed opportunities was a major reason why they didn't win. West Virginia rolled the dice a lot on fourth down, and a lot of the times on the fourth down, they weren't getting those. So that hurt them a little bit in the end. There was times to take some points in the game, which they didn't do. And I get it. The team's desperate. There's not much to play for, so who cares? But there were times where we went for it on fourth down that was a little risky that could have hurt the West Virginia Mountaineers. Scotty Fox Jr. was outstanding tonight. We're going to really break him down. I think we found something there. And it's something that we've all seen. We've seen flashes of it, but we haven't seen it consistently over one game. Second start, he looked a lot more comfortable tonight, and he played really, really well. And like I said, I just think this performance is something that the team can build on. I know there's only 4 games left after this, but, you know, maybe in the month of November, this team can really dig down deep and find a win or two on the schedule and get the momentum going for next year. So those are my initial thoughts on tonight's game there. My other thought is the crowd really showed up tonight. So if you were at the game, hats off to you. The Coal Rush looked awesome on ESPN Plus, and it just goes to show you, even though we're struggling, the West Virginia fans still care. There was a good amount of recruits, from what I've been told, at the game tonight for both football and basketball. So having an environment like this, even when we're down, is massive because recruits come to these games and they want to see what the environment is like. So if they see the environment is like this when we're struggling, they're going to want to come and play here, and it's going to be more enticing to them. So like I said, I think the crowd showed up. I thought it was a positive weekend overall for West Virginia sports in general. You look at the hoops at Woodburn, that seemed pretty cool with the recruits that we had on campus, and then the Coal Rush. If we would have gotten the win, that would have been amazing, but we did the right things as fans showing up to the game. It looked good on TV. Nice effort by everyone who showed up there today at Milan Postcar. All right, let's get into some stats. So these are the team stats here. Look at the game comparison with total yards. 343 yards for TCU, 342 for West Virginia. This is by far the most potent our offense has looked since the Pitt game, and it's about time. But we went toe-to-toe with a TCU offense that has more talent than us, quite frankly, and we're going to break down their players. You could tell TCU is more explosive than us, and they have the more talented team, especially with our injuries. But the fact that you were able to hang in there with that offense is super impressive, and it's something we've been waiting for. 301 passing yards for West Virginia is super impressive. The problem is the rushing yards, right? 41 rushing yards is tough. And it just goes to show you, if West Virginia could ever get this running game going, they could be a very dangerous team moving forward. But at least they got one of the equations out of the way tonight. At least they improved the passing game. The last few weeks, the passing game and the running game hasn't been there. At least tonight, you got one of the things somewhat solved. So maybe over the next few weeks, we can build that running game and be a more balanced offense. You didn't do too bad in penalties, only 4 penalties for 36 yards. I know some of them really hurt on the 3rd and 4th down for TCU when they were thrown down the field, and we had a couple pass interference calls, but those guys are some really good talented wide receivers that they have. Again, first down's pretty even, 19-20. Third downs was an issue for us, 3 for 14. That's not great. And then, like I said, the 4th downs, 2 for 7. That also killed you in this game, is just converting in big spots. And I think with a more experienced team and a more experienced offensive line, those will improve over time. But right now, it's just not there. Again, average yards per play, we're pretty even. Average yards per completion, pretty even. So the red zone, only 2 trips to the red zone where TCU had 6. Time of possession, TCU had us in. And then both teams didn't turn the ball over at all. So that was a positive sign. I know we fumbled one time, but we got the ball back. So that was good. I think that was Bowers who fumbled. But overall, a decent performance for West Virginia. We also got a sack tonight from Devin Grant. He's been playing pretty well. So this was, like I said, just looking at the team stats, we went toe-to-toe with a team that is toward the top of the Big 12. They're not the top of the Big 12, but they're towards the top. And it just goes to show you that we have the potential to get there if we can stay healthy and continue to build this thing. There was a lot of positives from this game. All right, let's look at some individual stats. Scotty Fox, 28 for 41, 301 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Completed 68% of his passes with a 1.46 rating. So we'll take that all day. It might be more passing yards than we've had the last few weeks combined. So hats off to Scotty Fox. We're going to talk about him in a second, but there's a lot to take here with this one for him. Really, really nice performance for him. We mentioned the rushing woes, only 41 rushing yards as a team. Hubbard did some nice things. Hubbard had some flashes tonight, made some guys miss. I was pretty impressed with him, even though his numbers aren't great. Clay Ash got a few carries, Gallagher got 1, and then Bowers only got 2. Cam Vaughn, we're going to talk about him in a little bit too. 6 catches for 85 yards. Rodney Gallagher, 5 catches for 22. Jeff Weimer had his best game as a Mountaineer, made a hell of a catch in the end zone for a touchdown. Gerard Bowie sees more playing time. Like I said, Hubbard did some nice things, catching the ball. Grayson Barnes had a touchdown. Ryan Ward, Barrick, and Justin Smith-Brown. So a lot more guys got involved tonight. That was good to see. It was a sign of hope for this offense that's been really struggling. And then let's talk about some TCU stats here. Josh Hoover, 24 for 39, 132 yards. I thought he had good command of the offense. Hoover, he's a nice player, and he has some nice guys around him. Absolutely love that battle kid and the way that he ran. He was super impressive. He ran for 89 yards and a touchdown. And then McAllister is just a stud, man. He really has been really good over the last 2 seasons. Tonight, he had 9 catches for 124 yards and 1 touchdown. He had 82 yards after the catch, including that one that sealed the game for them. Everhart seems like a really nice player for them as well. Dwyer, the Rogers kid's big and physical. So, like I said, right now you can just tell that TCU was the more talented team, and I have no problem saying that. And they're just a really talented team, and hopefully we can close that gap with that talent, because we went toe-to-toe to them today, shorthanded, and a team that's not as talented, and we were right there. So if we can close that gap talent-wise, that could get us over the hump the next time we play them. All right, let's get more into Scotty Fox Jr. You can tell this kid is gaining confidence, right? And like I said, we've seen flashes of him this year. You go back to the Robert Morris game. Even in the Pitt game, he had that pass to Smith-Brown. I know it was a screen pass, and I know he struggled in that game, but that was a really tough environment to get thrown into. And then he did some really good things against BYU. Last week, he took a step backwards a little bit, but this week, he looked really solid. And maybe that's what this kid needs, is just more time and just roll with him, right? 301 passing yards as a true freshman in a Big 12 game is super impressive, and it's something that we can build off of. So these next 4 games for Scotty Fox are going to be absolutely crucial for his career at West Virginia. If he keeps putting up 300-yard games in the Big 12 the rest of the way, the rest of the season, he could be the starting quarterback next year. The way he played tonight, I'd be fine rolling him out as a starting quarterback next year, especially if you fix the offensive line in front of you and you figure out this run game. He threw for 300 passing yards tonight without any solid run game at all. Pretty impressive. And like I said, the line hasn't been great. So super impressive for this kid. It was by far our best performance in Big 12 play as far as any quarterback goes. It might have been the best quarterback performance all year. I know Nico got the win versus Pitt, but I was just super impressed with what Fox could do here. He did have a few overthrows and things like that, but not turning the ball over and the way he commanded the offense and he gave us a shot, absolutely great job from him. And then the other thing is that you can tell right off the jump is his arm talent and his athleticism is definitely there. The balls that he was throwing to the end zone, even though he didn't complete them, you could tell he has the live arm, he has the big arm, and he could be a quarterback in this conference. And then the other thing that makes him exciting is he's athletic. We've seen the runs that he's made. He's broken 40-yard runs and 60-yard runs. He has that athleticism, and that's what Rich Rodriguez is looking for. So when we get this run game going and you do the read options with him, he could be absolutely dangerous. So I think he really helped himself tonight. Like I said, there's still another 4 games of the season, and those are going to be massive for his career heading into next year. Can he take that quarterback position and run with it right now? The door is open to do that. Let's talk about Cam Vaughn. First things first, all the Mountaineer fans know this, but I think it needs to be said. We need to retain him at all costs, right? He has been by far the most consistent playmaker on offense. He just does special things with the ball in his hands. And we need to make sure this guy finds his way back to Morgantown. That would answer a lot of questions about our offense if we had him at receiver 1 next season. If you bring back Scotty Fox and you bring back Jaheim White and then you bring back Cam Vaughn, okay, the offense has some building blocks to work with, so we have to keep this guy. Pay up. He's going to continue to keep getting better, right? He's only a sophomore and he played quarterback in high school, so he's only been playing the position for a few years. So this guy with more experience, more reps, and this is his first time playing Power 4 competition for a full season. He's going to continue to get better. I want to see what the best version of Cam Vaughn looks like, and I want to see it in a Mountaineer uniform. And the other thing is we just have to find another receiver to pair him with, right? He can't do this all alone. I know Jeffrey Weimer did okay today and made some catches, but if you have Cam Vaughn and then you can find a legit number 2 and number 3 receiver to complement him, that's going to be massive. Then he won't see as much action with double teams and people keying on him. I know we had Jaden Bray and he got hurt, so that would have been interesting to see what that pair could have done. But we definitely need to have answers next year at wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 to just take some pressure off of this guy, because if defenses don't key on him, he could really shine. So like I said, he's an exciting player to watch. We need to retain him, and he had a nice night for the Mountaineers. So good job from Cam Vaughn. All right, so let's talk about building for 2026. There are a few guys that played tonight that have eligibility left that I want to highlight. It was nice to see these players get some reps tonight. We have a lot of players running out of eligibility this season. It's just the truth. So we need to find building blocks for next year and guys that we can win with right now for next year. That way, when we go to the portal in January, we are not getting 80 guys again, right? We don't want to do that. It might be 40 or 50, but we don't want 80. So here are some guys that played tonight that did some decent things, that it's good to see them get playing time, and hopefully they can be building blocks for next season. Donovan Haslam played more than I've seen him play in other games tonight. Agbo played a lot of football tonight, which was great to see. Ryan Ward made 2 catches tonight. Ryan Ward's a Jersey guy, so shout out to him. And he's a guy that has a chance to be a really solid tight end for us, especially with Grayson Barnes leaving. So Ryan Ward, good stuff from him tonight. On the defensive side of the ball, Marshawn Oxley has made some plays. We saw him rush the quarterback tonight and cause some havoc. So that's nice to see. He's a redshirt junior, so he'll be back next year if we can retain him. Nate Gabriel, a sophomore, got some playing time tonight. Ben Bogle stepped in there tonight. So there are guys here that we're going to need to step up that are younger because, like I said, we're losing a majority of the defense. Nick Taylor also played tonight. So if we can have these guys make plays for next year and continue to build confidence and get game reps, that will only help us for next year. So we're not starting from scratch all over again. So that was nice to see for West Virginia on that side of the ball. There was also a Nico Marchiol sighting tonight. He was there in the boot with the cart. That was kind of good to see. You know, I wasn't sure if Nico would be around the rest of the year. From the reports that came out from On3, it sounded like he was hitting the portal and was done for the season. So at least he's around the team. He'll have a decision to make at the end of the season, but at least he's around the team. I know a lot of the guys like him in the locker room, so that was good to see for Nico. Hopefully he gets healthy soon, but it was just good to see him out there repping the West Virginia Mountaineers and being on the sideline again. All right, now let's just talk about the final thoughts as we put a bow on this game versus TCU. Like I said, I thought it was a step in the right direction. I know we want to win a bunch of games, and I know the Rich Rod people who aren't too happy are still not going to be happy, but if you're looking for a silver lining, they played hard tonight. We looked like a team that has a pulse, and it was much easier to digest this one than the ones in the previous weeks. Like I said, keep finding guys for 2026. I mentioned a few guys there. We need to continue to find the guys that can help us for the future, and that's going to be super important over these last 4 games. Signature win still out there? Question mark. Looking at the schedule ahead, we still have Houston, we still have Colorado, we still have Arizona State, and we still have Texas Tech. So those games are going to be extremely challenging because they're all, 3 out of the 4 are really good football teams, and Colorado has shown some life recently. So it's going to be hard, but there are some opportunities out here for you. Maybe this game gives you some confidence, right? We have nothing to lose at this point. We're 2-6. I doubt we're going to a bowl game. We'd have to win out. So just play loose and ruin someone's season. Maybe these teams need a big win, and maybe we could play spoiler. Who knows? And maybe if you get a big win, a big signature win going into the last 4 games, it could give you momentum for next year. And that's what the next point was, is just make the most out of this season. Treat the last month of the season with some pride, and it's all about next year. And I know there's a lot of seniors on this team, and I know they were hoping for better, but they're still part of this football program. And hopefully this last month can be like a sign that, okay, that's the signs that West Virginia was coming. This is when it finally started to click for Rich Rodriguez, for the team, for the fan base. And hopefully this can get us hyped going into next year. With that being said, I think that's all I got. I really appreciate you guys. I know it's been a tough season, and I know it stinks to lose, but at least tonight was something that we can build off of. So really appreciate you guys. Please remember to like and subscribe to JerseyEER. Have a great night.